Every corner of Maryland hides a legend, some born from tragedy, others from something far older. From blood-soaked battlefields to crumbling hospitals and lighthouses swallowed by fog. These places don't just tell stories, they remember. Tonight, we're stepping across that thin line between history and haunting into the 15 most terrifying places in Maryland. Dr. Samuel A. Mudhouse Museum, Waldorf. The night air around Waldorf carries a weight of history thick, quiet, and unsettling. The old house of Dr. Samuel A. Mud stands there still, a silent witness to the aftermath of one of America's darkest nights. It was here, in 1865, that John Wilkes Booth, bleeding, desperate, and hunted, found refuge after assassinating President Abraham Lincoln. But as the story goes, something else stayed behind. Visitors say the moment you cross the threshold, the air tightens, as if the house itself is holding its breath. Footsteps echo on the wooden floorboards when no one is upstairs. Doors creak open slowly, like someone unseen still moving through the night. In the guest room where Booth once lay, guides report a shadow pacing by the bed, a faint smell of blood and gunpowder seeping through the air. Some claim to hear Mud's weary voice murmuring from the study, pleading his innocence over and over again, his name forever bound to betrayal. Historians debate whether Mud was a guilty accomplice or an unfortunate man caught in the storm of history. But those who visit after sunset swear that the truth lingers here. Restless and unresolved, sometimes just before dawn, a cold draft sweeps through the halls, carrying whispers that sound eerily like a dying man's last breath. They say if you dare to stand in the hallway alone, you'll hear boots striking the floorboards, moving closer, heavier with each step until the sound stops right behind you. Would you turn around or keep your eyes forward and pretend you heard nothing at all? Glendale Hospital, Glendale, deep in the overgrown woods of Prince George's County, lies the skeletal remains of Glendale Hospital, a place that once promised healing, but now breathes only silence and fear. Built in the 1930s as a tuberculosis sanatorium, its long corridors once echoed with coughs, cries, and prayers of the dying. Today, only the wind answers back. Locals say that when night falls, the hospital awakens. Explorers who've dared to enter describe whispers leaking from broken intercoms, shadows darting across decaying hallways, and doors slamming with invisible force. The children's ward is said to be the worst. Toys still sit abandoned on rusted shelves, and the faint melody of a music box sometimes drifts through the air, though no one has touched it in decades. Some claim to have seen a nurse, her face pale and featureless, gliding silently from room to room as if still tending to her long-dead patients. The place feels frozen between worlds, trapped in the moment it was shut down. Every peeling wall, every shattered window seems to hold a memory that refuses to fade. Even seasoned investigators admit that Glendale carries a heaviness unlike any other, an unseen pressure that makes your pulse race the longer you stay. Those who have gone there after midnight say if you listen closely, you'll hear the faint echo of an oxygen machine, a gasp for breath, a single word whispered in the dark: help. So, if you ever find yourself at the edge of Glendale's gates, ask yourself, would you step inside, knowing the patients may still be waiting for you? Point Lookout Lighthouse, Point Lookout, Scotland. Tiatbui, Twair, at the southern tip of Maryland, where the Potomac River meets the Chesapeake Bay, stands the lonely Point Lookout Lighthouse, a place where history and haunting blend into one endless fog. The wind here never seems to rest, carrying echoes of pain that date back to the Civil War. Once a hospital and later a prison camp for captured Confederate soldiers, the ground beneath this lighthouse has absorbed the suffering of more than 4 000 men who died within its reach. Some say their spirits never left. Visitors report hearing boots marching along the shore long after sunset. The metallic clank of shackles rising from the mist. The old lighthouse keeper's quarters are said to be alive with unseen presences, cold spots that move like breath across your skin, soft whispers calling names that no living soul should know. In the keeper's bedroom, one guest swore she woke to see a figure standing at the foot of her bed, dripping with seawater, eyes hollow, as if searching for the light that once guided him home. Paranormal teams have recorded voices pleading, "Let me go," and it's cold, while others captured the sound of footsteps circling the lantern room at midnight when no one was inside. Even the park rangers admit the energy shifts after dark, as though the bay itself remembers. Locals warn, never look too long into the fog near the shore. They say sometimes the fog looks back, so if you ever find yourself at Point Lookout, when the light flickers against the black water, ask yourself, are you alone? Or just another visitor among the restless dead? Maryland State House, Annapolis. In the heart of Annapolis, the Maryland State House rises proudly over the city, a symbol of democracy, honor, and history. But once the tourists leave and the lights dim, something ancient seems to stir beneath its stately dome. Built in 1772, this building has witnessed revolutions, betrayals, and the signing of peace. But some say not every spirit within its walls has found rest. Late-night guards tell stories of phantom footsteps echoing down marble halls, the rhythmic sound of boots from an unseen soldier who never stopped marching. In the old Senate chamber, where George Washington once resigned his commission, a chill sometimes sweeps through the air without warning. Papers flutter, doors creak open, and a shadow lingers near the doorway. Tall, watchful, and gone the moment you blink. Legend has it that during the Capitol's long history of construction, a worker fell to his death from the dome. Ever since, faint hammering and footsteps can be heard high above, long after the workday ends. Some nights, the faint scent of pipe smoke drifts through the rotunda, though smoking has been banned there for decades. Historians may speak of honor and nationhood, but those who walk its corridors at midnight speak of something else. The feeling of being watched, judged, remembered. The State House stands not just as a monument to history, but as a mausoleum of it. If you ever find yourself alone there, with the echoes of your own footsteps bouncing off the marble, ask yourself, was that just an echo? Or someone still pacing the halls, guarding Maryland's secrets in the dark? Lilburn Mansion, Ellicott City. Perched above the rolling hills of Ellicott City, Lilburn Mansion stares down from its Gothic towers like a guardian of forgotten tragedies. Built in 1857, the mansion was once a symbol of prestige and beauty, until misfortune began to stalk the family that lived within its ornate walls. Fires, sudden deaths, and eerie coincidences have haunted the estate for over a century, leaving behind whispers that the house itself may be alive. Those who ventured inside describe a silence so heavy it presses against your chest. In the grand hall, a chandelier sometimes sways gently, though the air is still. Footsteps echo on the staircase, yet no one appears. In the library, visitors have reported hearing a man's low murmur, followed by the faint sobs of a woman echoing from the upper floors. Some believe it's the spirit of the original owner, Henry Hazelhurst, forever bound to the place he built and lost after the Great Fire of 1923 nearly consumed the estate. Townsfolk claim to see figures moving through the smoke, unharmed, staring from the windows of a house that should have been empty. Even now, at twilight, those who pass by swear the lights flicker on for a moment, just long enough to reveal a silhouette in the window. Watching Ellicott City locals say the mansion doesn't welcome visitors, it studies them. And if you stay too long, It remembers your face, so if you ever find yourself near Lilburn's iron gates and feel that sudden chill creep up your neck, don't look back. The house already has the Horse You Came In On Saloon, Baltimore. In the cobblestone heart of Fells Point, Baltimore, stands one of America's oldest saloons, the Horse You Came In On. Warm lights and laughter spill through its doors each night, but beneath the clinking of glasses and the smell of whiskey lingers something colder, and far more tragic. For this was the last place Edgar Allan Poe was seen alive before his mysterious death in 1849, and some say he never truly left. Bartenders tell stories of lights flickering without cause, bottles toppling from shelves, and the faint rustle of papers in an empty corner, as if someone invisible is still scribbling notes by candlelight. Many swear that a man in a dark coat appears briefly at the end of the bar, only to vanish the moment you look twice. They call him Edgar when someone toasts his name aloud. Glasses have been known to shake, or a sudden gust of cold air sweeps through the room. After hours, when the bar falls silent, the old piano sometimes plays a single note on its own, a low or melancholy sound that chills the air. Some nights, faint footsteps climb the wooden stairs, pausing just outside the attic door where Poe once sat in solitude. Locals have learned to treat the presence with respect. A nod, a quiet word, a drink left untouched on the bar. Because those who mock the legend often find things moved, voices whispering close to their ears. So next time you find yourself in the Horse You Came In On, and the lights dim just a little too soon, ask yourself, is it just the wind from the harbor, or a poet come back to finish his final verse? Srepisa, Druid Ridge Cemetery, Pikesville. Just beyond the quiet suburbs of Pikesville lies Druid Ridge Cemetery, a place of solemn beauty by day and whispered dread by night. Beneath its ancient oaks and winding paths rests one of Maryland's most infamous legends. The statue known as Black Aggie, once the guardian of a grave, this brooding stone figure has inspired a century of fear. Her hollow eyes seem to follow you, her heavy wings poised as if waiting to move. They say when darkness falls, Aggie awakens. Visitors have claimed that her eyes glow red beneath the moonlight, and anyone foolish enough to sit in her lap after midnight will never rise again. Flowers placed at her feet are found crushed by morning, and grass around her grave refuses to grow. Some even insist they've seen shadows dart between the headstones, circling the statue as though protecting her from the living. Local teenagers once dared each other to visit the cemetery after dusk. Most never stayed long. One group reported seeing a mist form around the monument, twisting into the shape of a woman before vanishing into the trees. Cameras, do you watch as stop? And silence swallows every sound except the pounding of your own heart. Though Black Aggie was removed years ago, those who visit the empty pedestal swear the energy remains a cold, invisible presence watching from the dark. They say if you whisper her name 3 times, the air grows heavy, as if someone or something is standing right behind you. Would you dare to turn around? Walworth, Lord Baltimore Hotel, downtown Baltimore. Towering above the city's skyline since 1928, the Lord Baltimore Hotel is elegance draped in shadow. A grand monument of Art Deco beauty that conceals a past of sorrow. Guests check in for luxury, but some leave with chills they can't explain. For within these gilded halls, many believe the restless dead still wander. Bound to tragedies the building refuses to forget. Staff whisper about the Red Lady, a spirit said to appear on the 19th floor. She wears a flowing crimson gown, her hair cascading dark over her face, and in her arms, she carries a small child. The story tells of a mother who leapt from the rooftop during the Great Depression, her grief too heavy to bear. Since then, guests have awakened in the night to see faint red light glowing near the ceiling, or the outline of a woman standing silently at the foot of their bed. Elevators sometimes stop on the 19th floor with no one inside. Children cry without reason in the hallways, pointing at something only they can see. In the grand ballroom, where laughter and jazz once filled the air, faint music still drifts across the empty space as if the party never ended, only shifted beyond the veil. Employees who've worked there for decades say the hotel feels alive, like it's watching, listening. Some pray quietly before entering the upper floors after midnight. Others refuse to ride the elevator alone. They say if you ever step inside and feel the sudden pull of sorrow in your chest, don't fight it because it's not your sadness you're feeling. It's hers. Night. Jericho Covered Bridge, Baltimore, Harford County. Hidden deep among the trees between Baltimore and Harford County lies the Jericho Covered Bridge, a relic from the 19th century draped in legend and dread. By daylight, it's a charming piece of Maryland history, its red timbers stretching quietly across the Little Gunpowder Falls. But when night descends, locals say the bridge becomes something else entirely. A passageway not just through space, but through time and spirit. They call it the Hanging Bridge. Stories tell of Confederate deserters executed from its beams, their restless souls forever bound to the place of their death. Travelers who've crossed it after midnight claim to hear the creak of ropes swaying in the wind and the faint sound of boots scraping the boards above. Some say phantom lights appear on the bridge, flickering like lanterns from another century, guiding or warning those who dare to enter. A blood-red glow has been spotted beneath the planks, and some drivers report handprints appearing on their car windows after they pass through cold, wet, and unmistakably human. One chilling tale speaks of a figure in tattered gray uniform who steps into the headlights, staring silently before vanishing into the fog. Even in daylight, the air beneath the bridge feels unnaturally still, as though holding its breath for the night to return. Locals warn that if you ever hear a whisper calling your name while crossing, don't look back, because whatever's behind you isn't from this world, and it's waiting for you to answer. Antietam National Battlefield, Sharpsburg. On the quiet fields of Sharpsburg, where the grass sways gently in the wind, the earth remembers blood. Antietam was the site of the bloodiest single day in American history. More than 23,000 soldiers dead, wounded, or missing. Yet when the sun sets and the mist rises over the cornfield and Bloody Lane, the past refuses to rest. Those who've walked these fields after dark swear the battle still rages. Just beyond sight, visitors speak of musket fire echoing from nowhere, phantom drum beats rolling across the hills, and the acrid scent of gunpowder hanging in the still night air. Some have seen figures in torn blue and gray uniforms marching silently through the fog, their faces pale and empty, fading as they approach. Near Bloody Lane, people report the faint sound of groans, men calling for help that will never come. Even rangers, hardened by years of service, admit the land feels alive, pulsing with a sorrow that time cannot erase. There's a farmhouse near the edge of the field where candles seem to flicker in windows, long abandoned. Those who look inside sometimes glimpse silhouettes of surgeons bending over invisible bodies, the floorboards darkened by stains a century old. And in the distance, on quiet nights, a lone bugle plays, taps though no musician stands upon the hill. The Antietam battlefield is more than a memorial, it's a wound that never fully healed. They say if you stand there at dawn, when the fog curls low and the light turns crimson, you might feel a cold hand brush your arm. A soldier's ghost, still waiting for orders that will never come. Savage Mill, Savage. Nestled beside the Little Patuxent River, Savage Mill looks peaceful now, its brick buildings glowing under warm lights, filled with shops and laughter. But when the crowds leave and the doors lock for the night, the echo of its past begins to rise. Once a 19th century cotton mill, this place was built on sweat, danger, and death. The hum of machinery has long gone silent, yet those who linger after dark swear they still hear it. The low, rhythmic thump of looms turning somewhere deep within the walls. Security guards talk of shadows gliding across upper windows, of cold spots that move like breath through the corridors. In one hallway, footsteps follow close behind, stopping only when you stop. In another, the faint cry of a woman said to be a worker, crushed beneath a collapsing beam, drifts through the air. Before fading into silence, lights flicker for no reason, and the scent of burnt oil sometimes fills rooms untouched by machinery for a century. Some visitors on ghost tours have captured faint whispers on recordings, voices murmuring names that match those in the mill's old ledgers. Others say they've seen a figure in soot-stained overalls staring from the rafters, eyes hollow, motionless until you look away. By daylight, Savage Mill feels alive with energy and art. But when the river fog curls through the valley, that same energy turns cold. So if you ever walk its echoing hallways after closing time, and you hear the sound of a loom starting up again, remember, no one has worked those machines for over 100 years. How? Jonathan Hager House Museum, Hagerstown. Beneath the calm streets of Hagerstown lies a house built not only of stone, but of secrets. The Jonathan Hager House, dating back to 1739, was once the sturdy home of the town's founder. Yet behind its colonial charm lingers a darkness that even time cannot bury. The stone walls still hold the chill of the underground spring running through its basement, and with it, the whispers of those who never left. Visitors describe an uneasy silence the moment they step inside. The air grows cold, heavy and expectant, as though the house itself is listening. Tour guides tell of objects moving when no one is near, and footsteps echoing from the upper rooms after the last guest has gone. Some have seen the figure of a man in 18th century clothing wandering the halls, his boots wet, his face pale as river water. They call him Jonathan. Others claim to see a woman in a bonnet, staring through the window at dusk, her reflection lingering long after she's gone. Electronic recorders have captured faint whispers, please, laughter, even the sound of a door slamming shut, though every entrance was locked. And in the cellar, where the spring still flows beneath the floor, there are those who say you can hear breathing slow, labored, and too close to ignore. Historians may call this house a cornerstone of Hagerstown's birth, but the locals know it as something else entirely, a place that remembers. So if you ever descend the narrow stairs and feel the air turn damp and cold, don't stay too long, because some say the founder's spirit is still guarding his home, and he doesn't like uninvited guests. Clara Barton National Historic Site, Glen Echo. Tucked within the quiet woods of Glen Echo stands the preserved home of Clara Barton the nurse, the reformer, the angel of the battlefield. By day, her house feels sacred, a testament to compassion and courage. But when the sun slips beyond the Potomac, that warmth gives way to a chill that seeps through every floorboard. Those who have lingered too long after closing swear the founder of the American Red Cross still walks these halls, her spirit bound to duty even beyond death. Caretakers speak of footsteps gliding softly across the upstairs landing, the rustle of skirts brushing past in empty rooms. Lamps flicker, papers stir on desks untouched for years, and faint murmurs echo down the corridor, gentle, steady, almost like someone giving orders to unseen nurses. Some nights, the smell of antiseptic and smoke fills the air, as if the home has become a hospital once again, its walls remembering the chaos of war and the healing that followed. A few visitors have seen her in the reflection of the glass display cases, a woman in a dark blue dress, eyes weary yet kind, standing silently behind them before fading into the shadows. Even the air feels watchful, as though Clara herself is ensuring her mission is never forgotten. If you ever find yourself in Glen Echo at twilight and hear the faint sound of footsteps on the staircase, don't be alarmed. It may just be Clara Barton making her rounds once more tireless, devoted, and forever tending to the wounded souls of history. So 13, the Nevermore Haunt, Baltimore. In the shadows of an old warehouse district in Baltimore, where the air smells faintly of rust and river water, lies the Nevermore Haunt, a place that blurs the line between performance and possession. By day, it's known as one of Maryland's most elaborate haunted attractions. But when the lights go out and the actors leave, those who work there whisper that the screams don't stop. They just change. The building's history stretches back to the 1800s, once a factory where workers died in gruesome accidents. Some say the haunt awoke something in the walls, something that feeds on fear. Employees have reported hearing chains dragging in empty corridors and doors slamming shut long after everyone has gone home. Props move overnight, lights flicker in patterns like Morse code, and cold spots bloom suddenly in the middle of summer. One security guard swore he saw a man in a plague doctor's mask standing motionless at the end of the hall. Thinking it was an actor, he called out, but the figure didn't move. It only tilted its head slowly before dissolving into the dark. Others have heard laughter echoing from the makeup rooms long after they've been locked, and faint tapping from beneath the floor, as if something below the building wants out. They call it the Nevermore because nothing truly leaves, not the echoes, not the fear, not the souls who built it. So if you ever visit and feel a hand brush your shoulder in the dark, don't panic. Just remember the actors might go home at midnight, but not all of them. Fort McHenry, National Monument and Historic Shrine, Baltimore. On the edge of Baltimore Harbor stands Fort McHenry, a fortress immortalized by the dawn that inspired viewer to the Star-Spangled Banner. Yet, when daylight fades and the flag no longer waves in the breeze, this proud monument becomes something else entirely. A silent sentinel, guarding centuries of restless ghosts. The thick brick walls that once echoed with cannon fire now whisper of soldiers who never left their posts. Night visitors tell of spectral sentries pacing along the ramparts, their boots striking the cobblestones in perfect rhythm. Some have seen a figure in a tattered uniform standing watch over the bay, vanishing when approached. In the powder magazine, the air turns unnaturally cold, and the smell of smoke drifts through the dark. Though no gun has fired here in 100 years, rangers speak of hearing distant drums and faint orders barked across the parade ground, voices from a war long ended. One particularly eerie tale comes from the officers' quarters, where an unseen hand is said to knock 3 times on the door just before midnight. No matter how often the guards check, no one is ever there. Tourists sometimes feel a tug at their clothing while staring at the flagpole, as if unseen soldiers are reminding them to stand at attention. They say Fort McHenry still defends the harbor, but not against enemies of flesh and blood. On misty nights, when the bay glows faintly under moonlight, the fort seems alive again with ghostly movement and muffled cries. So if you ever walk its ramparts alone and feel the air tighten around you, don't be afraid. It's only the spirits, still keeping watch beneath the flag they died to protect. As the camera fades through the mist and the echoes of whispers fade into silence, remember these were only 15 of Maryland's most haunted places. But they're far from the only ones. There are still unmarked roads, shuttered asylums, and forgotten houses that locals refuse to talk about. If you think you've seen it all, you haven't even scratched the surface. Hit subscribe and keep the lights on, because next time we're going deeper into the shadows. The question is, will you watch alone?